So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to bring your models directly into Blender via Speckle. Now, this is a really great workflow intended for architectural visualization or just visualization in general, where you have to kind of collaborate with other people who are authoring their models in different software to you. So this will be a really fast and efficient way to get that model into Blender and vice versa. So for this tutorial, we're going to assume a few things. The first is that you already have a Speckle account already set up. The next is that you have Revit and Blender installed on your computer, and that you have the Revit and Blender connectors already installed as well. Now, if you don't have any of the Speckle things that I listed, you can easily go to speckle.systems and get started from there. Okay, so we're just going to start by publishing our Revit model that we have here up onto Speckle. So to do that, we are going to go to the Speckle panel on the right here. If you don't see this panel, you can always go up to the Speckle tab here, click here, and then click on the Speckle button. That should bring up your window here. So publishing to Speckle is really easy. All we have to do is click on this big publish button here, and you're going to see a couple of options. I'm in my workspace, the culture here, and I have a couple of projects already set up, but for this, we're going to already create a new project. So if we go over to the create new project button here, which is just a little plus sign, we can click on that. And then it's going to ask you for a project name. So we're just going to go with a new Revit project to Blender. And then we're just going to click on create. So now we need to name the specific model that we're uploading to that project. So we're just going to say Blender model and then hit create Blender model. So it's now asking us what parts of the model do we actually want to upload onto Speckle. So to do that, we can just select everything because we sort of want to get everything in this model up into our Blender model. So we're going to select everything, and then it's going to say how many objects you've selected. And all we have to do is click publish. There's some additional settings here, but we don't have to get into that at the moment. So we've just clicked publish, and that's going to start converting that Revit model into a Speckle model. So that'll take some time to think and to upload onto the Speckle servers. So you can see now that that's been uploaded, and it's come up with a message where we can actually go ahead and go straight to that model in the Speckle viewer. So if we click on view, you can see that that model has now been published onto Speckle. So this is a really great way to view your model on the web and a really great way to collaborate with your colleagues. You can actually share this model with your colleagues or with your clients, and they can even add comments to it. So it's a really great collaboration tool. So our model's on Speckle now, and we just want to bring that back down into Blender. Okay, so we're in Blender now. And we have a fairly familiar site. If you're familiar with Blender, we have the default cube, the camera, and the lamp. So we just want to start off with a clean canvas. So we're just going to hit A to select everything, and then delete to delete everything. Now, if you hit N, you'll open the N tab, and you can see over here that we have Speckle installed. Now, if you don't see Speckle here immediately, and you've installed the Speckle Blender connector, we can just go over to Edit, go down to Preferences, and then if we bring the window over and then come down to Add-ons and search for Speckle, this may not be ticked. So if it's not, just go ahead and tick it, and that will install the Blender Speckle add-on into Blender. So you can see a very familiar site here. We have a publish and a load button available to you. So for this project, we just want to bring that model into Blender. So how do we do that? Well, we click the load button. That's going to highlight a new option for you. And all it's going to be asking for is how to select your project. So select that button and a new window will come up. You can see that it is already signed into my account. We are in the culture workspace, and we have a couple of projects that we've already created. So we're just going to go and click into the new Revit project to Blender, click OK, and we're going to select a model. So we're just going to select Blender model for this use case and then click OK. So a few more options are going to come up. By default, you will be loading in the latest Speckle model, but you can choose which specific version you actually want to load into Blender. But for this test, we're just going to go and load the latest version. So we're just going to be OK. So the final option is to load that model into Blender. So let's go ahead and click that. Now an option dialog box will pop up and it will give you two options. This is the collection instances or linked duplicates. So to illustrate this point a little bit more about the differences between linked duplicates and collection instances, I've brought in two models using those two settings. So these are actually blocks that are coming in from Rhino. So instances, blocks, they're essentially the same thing, but in Rhino, they're called blocks. So we've brought these blocks in from Rhino in two different ways. So one is using the linked duplicates method, and the other is using the collection instances. So we can see what that looks like and how they differ. So with the collection instances, you can see that the collections themselves are instanced. So what this means, and the advantage of that, is that this is a lot cleaner when it comes into Blender. It's less messy. The disadvantage here is that you can't edit these instanced collections, not necessarily easily. There's some plugins that maybe you could use to do this, but just in vanilla Blender, it's a little bit harder. So the alternative is bringing these blocks in as linked duplicates. So if we expand this collection, you can see these blocks or instances have been flattened and they've become linked duplicates. So these are individual objects now instead of being instanced collections. The advantage of these is that if we go into edit mode and just hit G, you can see if we move the geometry around, we can see that this geometry is linked. So one edit edits all of the geometries. And so this is just an easier way to getting access to those instances. The disadvantage here is obviously you end up with a lot of geometry in your collection. So you'll just have to choose which one you sort of prefer. If you feel like you are going to be editing the instances, then you probably go with a linked duplicate. Otherwise, if you're not touching that geometry, just go with collection instances because it will be neater when it comes into Blender. So the connectors that can publish instances are currently Rhino, SketchUp, AutoCAD, and Civil 3D. And we're currently working on Revit to get that up and running for you. So anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. Let's get back to loading our model into Blender. So let's go ahead and click OK. So there we are. We can see our model has been successfully loaded into Blender. So if we look at the scene collection, you can see that the model is actually structured by level. And that's because the origin of this model is actually from Revit. And so the way we structure our collection and how it's structured on the Speckle web viewer is by level. So if we right click on this and go visibility isolate, so you can see how the geometry is sorted by its level. And if we go into the Speckle web viewer and go to the scene explorer, we can see that the way this is structured is exactly the same. So you can see that the way that this is sorted in the Speckle web viewer is exactly how you're going to receive it in Blender. So a really nice feature of bringing your Speckle models into Blender is that they preserve the materials that you've applied in your previous modeling software. So in this example, this model has actually originated from Revit, and those materials have been brought in into Blender. But in a lot of cases, because you're bringing your model into Blender, it's probably because you're doing an ArcViz sort of workflow. So because of this, we actually have a really nice feature with the Blender Speckle plugin. And what this is that materials that you apply to your model will stick around through updates. So when you bring in an updated version of your model, the material overrides that you placed on your new model will stick around between versions, which is really cool. So we can demonstrate that really quickly just to make sure I'm explaining it well. So what we want to do is actually replace this timber texture we have here with a nice concrete texture that we have. So to do that, we can go over to the shading tab. So we already have that mesh highlighted. So because I have the Node Wrangler plugin installed, all I have to do is click on the principled BSDF node and hit Ctrl-Shift-T. And that will bring up a new window and asking us for the PBR material. So here it's actually come into a grass material. Actually, I want to use the asphalt material. So let's highlight that entire material and click this button here. That will automatically bring in the material, and you can see that that's been applied to our model. So this is the magic bit. If we go back into our layout, you can see that that hasn't been changed here, but if we go into the rendered view, we can see that that material has been applied to our model. So if we change the version of the model that's actually loaded into Blender, that material will stick around. So we can do that by clicking on this button here, and it'll ask us if we want to load a specific version. So now you can see that we have a new version actually uploaded. So we want to update our model. So let's click on that, click OK, and that's going to load that model into Blender, and we'll see that that material has actually stuck around for this new loaded model. Okay, there we are. Our new model has loaded and our material override has successfully stuck around. So we added this as a feature so that it will be really easy for you to continually get updates on your model, but not completely lose all the progress you made overriding the materials in Blender. So this is a really useful feature if you're bringing your models into Blender for the purposes of rendering. Obviously, you're probably going to override most of your materials with nice PBR materials. So this is just a way to make that process easier for you and to allow you to keep getting updates as you go. So our Blender Speckle connector is in active development, and we're looking for any kind of feedback on the certain types of workflows that you're looking to do with this connector. So if you're interested in using Speckle for Blender, we're really happy to hear from you and any ideas you might have to improve the plugin. We also have a really amazing active community that we're more than happy for you to participate in. So if you have any ideas or any feedback, we're happy to receive it. That's all from me, so happy speckling!